Hello and welcome to today's edition of Political Voice on VOP TV. I'm Amasinachi Okafo. There's a lot happening in the political space in Nigeria. But before then, we have, of course, two stories on our radar. The first one is fresh agitation as PDP zones a chairmanship position to Abia North. Plus, INEC claims all political parties in Nigeria have no complete registration record. Joining us virtually to discuss this is Mr. Nick Aguli, a chartered accountant, an oil and gas expert, and also a political analyst. Also, we have Dr. Hassan Sadiq, security expert and a political analyst as well. Well, before we get right into these stories, let's take a global overview of happenings around the world. In a historic moment for Mexico, Claudia Sheinbaum, a renowned climate scientist and former Mexico City mayor, has secured a decisive victory in the presidential elections, making her the first woman to hold the country's highest office in its 200-year history. In a gracious acknowledgement of her victory, Sheinbaum declared that she will become the first woman president of Mexico, expressing gratitude to the countless women who paved the way for her success. According to the National Electoral Institute, Sheinbaum has gathered an overwhelming lead with between 58.3% and 60.7% of the vote. Based on preliminary results, her closest competitors, Xochitl Galvez and Jorge Alvarez Maynez, trailed behind with significantly lower percentages. This milestone marks a significant shift in Mexican politics, with Sheinbaum leading the campaign from start to finish, despite facing formidable opposition, including Galvez, in a race that notably featured two women as the primary contenders for the presidency. President Andres Manuel López Obrador, Sheinbaum's political mentor, hailed her victory, emphasizing its historic significance that she is going to be Mexico's first woman president in 200 years. President William Ruto has once again fired a salvo at politicians he said were out to divide the country along tribal lines. Ruto has vowed not to allow the country to slide back into past dark days, citing the 2007 to 2008 post-election violence that was caused by reckless statements that polarized the country along ethnic lines, according to the president. The president said during an interdenominational church service at Amutala Stadium in Kimlili constituency, Bungoma County, on Sunday, that although the Constitution gives Kenyans the right to express themselves, they should not resort to statements that are likely to create animosity and hatred among communities, adding that Kenya will never go back to politics of ethnicity, personality, and exclusion. The president underscored the need for national unity and cohesion, warning against the detrimental effect of tribalism on Kenya's progress and stability, noting that they will not allow senior political leaders in the country to incite communities against each other for selfish political gains. It is time for leaders to rise above parochial interests and work towards the collective good of all Kenyans. Meanwhile, the president's remarks come amid growing concerns over escalating ethnic tensions in the country, fueled by political rhetoric over the perceived fallout between him and Deputy President. Bringing it back home, the Labour Party in Edo State has suspended former State House of Assembly Speaker Elizabeth Ativie following her participation in a video showing the purported swearing-in of a 17-member caretaker committee for the party. Ativie's suspension, which began at her local ward level in Uhum-Wode on May 4th and was ratified at the local government level on May 30th, was due to alleged anti-party activities and insubordination. At a stakeholders meeting in Benin City, State Party chairman confirmed the suspension, emphasizing that Ativie should no longer present herself as a party member. Labour Party gubernatorial candidate Olumide Akpata urged members to stay focused and disregard distractions, noting that no official communication had been received from the national party level regarding the dissolution of the current state working committee led by Kelly Ogbaloy. Akpata advised maintaining the status quo until proper procedures are being followed. We'll now go on a short break, and when we return, we'll go straight into today's topic of discussion. Stay tuned.
When your morning starts, make sure to look around for the right company to serve you everything you need to know about what's happening around you. That's why you need VOP this morning, because we will climb this far to give you a voice in what's going on, from news, reviews, politics and the economy, sports and even entertainment. Join us weekdays 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. right here on VOP TV. VOP TV. Now you have more than a voice.
Welcome back. In a recent development, the Abia State chapter of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, has officially designated the position of the state chairman to Abia North Senatorial Zone. This crucial decision emerged from a caucus meeting held by the party on Sunday. Former Speaker of Abia State House of Assembly, Chikwendo Kanu, initiated the motion to uphold the zoning arrangement, which was seconded by former Senate President Senator Adolphus Wabara. This move followed the endorsement of recommendations by the PDP Committee on Rotation and Zoning. While some PDP members have lauded the zoning formula, hailing its potential to ensure stability and equity, others from Abia North have expressed dissent. They demand that the next PDP governorship slot be allowed to Abia North as reparation for perceived injustices in 2023. Ogbokalo, a prominent party chieftain from Benda local government area, Abia North, attributed his party's lackluster performance in 2023 to candidate imposition and perceived injustice against Abia North. Meanwhile, in another development, the People's Democratic Party, PDP, vehemently opposes purported plans by the Jigawa state government to install caretaker committee chairman across the 27 local government areas of the state. Ali Idris Dignisa, PDP chairman in Jigawa state, condemned the alleged plan in response to the State House of Assembly's proposal to postpone local government elections until next year. The Assembly had constituted an ad hoc committee to review the state's electoral and local government laws, suggesting a 360-day notice period for political parties to adequately prepare for elections. He cautioned against any attempt by the Jigawa State House Assembly to amend Section 7(1) of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria 1999 as amended. He reiterated that the PDP would resist any effort to disrupt governance at the grassroots, mirroring the challenges experienced at the state level. We mentioned initially that we have our guests joining us virtually, Mr. Nick Agole, a chartered accountant, and also a political analyst as well. Welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you very much. Good evening to our viewers.
Okay, good evening to you too. We also have Dr. Hassan Sadiq joining us virtually as well.
Thank you for having me.
All right, so I'll start off with Mr. Nick Agole. The People's Democratic decision to zone the chairmanship to Abia North, do you think this will bring stability to the party? Because there's a lot of people are already saying a lot of things as regards the zoning of the chairmanship to Abia North. Some local government areas are already feeling cheated and are asking that the governorship baton should be also moved to another part of Abia when next the election comes up. What are your thoughts on that?
It's actually underwhelming. Sometimes you try to ask yourself, after 25 years of democracy, where we are. Because, like you earlier mentioned in the news, a place like Mexico is electing their first female president. South Africa just had an election
Uh-huh.
within a day or two. The whole results have been announced.
Yeah.
We didn't hear reports of torture or gangsterism, ballot box snatching, and all of that. We have countries that are moving forward with their democracy. And in Nigeria, the news that bothers us, what we are concerned with, is where the chairmanship of a party is zoned. Something that should be routine, should just be a normal thing, it should not be a newsworthy thing. It should just be. I mean, how many times have we heard elsewhere that the chairmanship of a party has become something that is newsworthy? But here we are in Nigeria. That is the kind of politics we are playing, because it's a politics of divide and rule. It's a politics of people who want to look for positions because it is my turn, and it is my turn to eat. And that is why we are here talking about this chairmanship position in Abia North. Even though the Abians, the PDP in Abia North, they think that this is actually something that is happening to prevent them from fielding the governorship candidate in the next elections. But you see, these are the kind of considerations that we are talking about. That 25 years, or a quarter of a century of democracy, hasn't matured our democracy to a point that we should be talking about the issues, like the challenges that are facing Nigeria and how we are going to solve them at the national, federal, and local levels. But it's about who gets what position, where, when. For me, this is the kind of news that should be no news at all.
All right, Dr. Hassan Sadiq, do you share same thought with Mr. Nick Agule? Also, how do you think this zoning formula will impact the party's chances in future elections? We know that the Labour Party has the baton now in Iowa State, that's of Alex Oti. And also, what do you make? What do you make of the demands from Abia North PDP members for the governorship slot as compensation for past injustices meted on them?
Yeah, I think I share from a different opinion to a large extent.
Okay.
Because in any political setting, you must have that at the back of the kind of democracy you are operating. It will now determine the zoning. Yes, I agree that South Africa just finished their elections. They are matured in terms of conduct of an elections, which is quite different here. While in our own case, we should remember that we are diverse people in nature, where different ethnicity, religion. Yeah. This is also what makes us differently from other countries in Africa. So in that case, which means you cannot compare our stance in terms of the Africa. But the only thing is that, yes, because of that peculiarity.
But that doesn't give us of course, that does not give us the right or the reason not to get it right in our electoral process. Or don't you share that thought?
Yes, I think, yes, that is where I'm heading to.
Okay.
why we are not getting it right. I'm always saying democracy is quite different from dividends of democracy. Let us understand it clearly. 25 years of democracy is that there's no interruption. Interruptions, that is on the Fourth Republic. This is democracy, which gives you the process of electing your leader. But it is also different from having the. That is the point. Yaradua, if you remember when he took over, he said he agreed that the election that brought him has challenges, but we can do it right. He accepted. And everything, it is for national interest. Irrespective of the way he come in. Why some people, they get in there through the means that are not legitimate, but they are not even doing things rightly. That is why I said we should understand the limit of democracy, how did leaders emerge. It is quite different from how do you give dividends of democracy. Not are now saying yes, because they were been having some challenges, they should give them that opportunity and everything. That is, it is not bad, because if it is rotational, those areas will them. But in despite I've said this all, what I can say that now we should learn from individual state peculiarity. From there, the voters, the electorate will now look at should determine who should govern them at a particular time. I give you this example in the sense is that Abia State, as example, has been a backward state before, whereby in Nigeria they call Aba is the toilet pit of Nigeria, how dirty it is. But one man came to narrative and is taking the step. So if I were the total Abian who is going to vote, should not look at the party. It should now look at the candidate. Party is just elected a leader. It is what a leader now today. So if they are now saying this one should be zoning, fine and good, there's nothing wrong. But the point we need to say here is that let the Abian citizen should look at who has been able to solve their. From there, they should vote for that candidate, irrespective of the party the person belongs to. This is what I'm trying to say out, so that we can be able to understand the differences when you say democracy. What is democracy? Then what are the interruptions? Since 25 years ago, which is this is the Fourth Republic, because we have only democratic system of government, which is a smooth run. You cannot say we have not been able to get it right to a large extent in terms of how do we elected the leader, because there was no interruptions of the military. But we have not been able to achieve that. And that is not because whether this not the particular party is there or not. When the PDP was there, PDP claimed that they will be there forever. Now APC, when they are coming, APC boast and everything, but where they are today. So that is why I said you can now see that one Labour Party now came from nowhere. He would do it. So I will now said we should now take each state according to his own peculiarity. Party or not will become not too relevant. What will now matter most, it is the candidate personality. There, the party themselves will start now looking for a candidate that has what it takes to lead, that has something to bag in the party. Yeah. Then the party will now say, we are taking you. But let's look at the stuff and the personality of the leader.
Okay. I think
on opinion, yes, on the basis of Abia State.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Hassan Sadiq. Mr. Nick Agule, Dr. Hassan did mention that it's about the person, not about the party. But then, what role do you think zoning will play in shaping the party's future and its relationships with different senatorial zones? Now, we've seen a lot of political parties come up with a lot of individuals that want to, contest for the governorship seat. But then people become very sentimental. Choosing party and not the people. You see people choosing party against the person. And because of the fact that, oh yes, it's this party's time to rule. It is this zone's time to rule. Not They're not choosing the person in particular. They're not choosing because of the zone or because of the party. How do you react to this? How do we make this better in the political zone? All right, please, can you unmute your mic so that we can hear you? We still can't hear you, Mr. Nick. Please unmute your mic. We still can't hear you. Okay. I don't know if you have unmuted your mic so that we can hear your thought. All right. I don't know if you can hear me. All right, moving on to Dr. Hassan Sadiq. Like I mentioned earlier, I wanted to leave this question for Mr. Nick Agule, but then I would have to jump that question to ask you the next one so that Mr. Nick Agule would answer the other question. All right,
can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you, please.
Okay, fine. Okay, so I said before I ask you a question in terms of the zoning, if there's going to be any value in the zoning, I think I would like to reshape what my co-panelist said. You know, he said that democracy is different from dividends of democracy. But I think what he wanted to put forward, I will use the analogy of farming and food production. You know, farming and food production are not different, but they are related in the sense that it is how you farm that you are going to get food. If, for instance, you are supposed to plant yam in the ground during rainy season so that the yam will produce food for you, instead you carry the yam and went and tied it on a tree, and then you are expecting to see food, you are not going to get food. So the way we are practicing democracy in Nigeria is also wrong. You understand? Democracy thrives on certain pillars, and the pillars are: number one, the sanctity of the electoral process, the independence of the judiciary, the independence of the legislative arm of government, you know, the freedom of the people to make their choices, and all of that. Until you do that, you are not going to expect democracy dividends at all. It's not a problem of democracy. It is how you are practicing that democracy. That's what it matters. You know, if you buy a Mercedes-Benz car, there are certain things you must do to that Mercedes-Benz car for it to take you from Lagos to Enugu. You know, you have to put petrol in the Mercedes-Benz car, you put engine oil, do everything, then drive it properly. But you bought a Mercedes and you put water in the fuel tank, and you are expecting the Mercedes to carry you from where you... We have destroyed democracy in Nigeria. We are not practicing democracy. So how can you expect democracy to produce dividends for you when you are not practicing democracy? A farmer that planted yam on top of a tree, how can he expect a harvest of yam? So I think this is what he wanted to say, but not to say that democracy is different from dividends of democracy. It's actually the way you are practicing democracy that you are going to get the dividends. And I can assure you that these are our leaders in Nigeria today. Upon all the problems that we are facing in Nigeria, the cost of living and the whole crisis, fuel subsidy, electricity tariff, foreign exchange unification, interest rate hikes, every policy meant to push Nigerians more and more into poverty. And they are doing nothing about it, but the thing that concerns them is to change the national anthem. If we were practicing democracy in Nigeria, they would not have done that, because they know that those National Assembly members now, we could have already put our signatures to record them from the assembly, bring them back home. Since we have sent them to Abuja, all they can give us is the old national anthem and not any dividends of democracy. So this is the problem that we are facing. And even this discussion that we are having here about zoning of chairmanship of the PDP to Abia North, it's all because we're not practicing democracy the right way. The political parties themselves don't have internal democracy. The political parties. So you look at a party like PDP, APC, Labour Party, they want to rule Nigeria. They want to take over Nigeria. They want to supervise INEC. But they themselves cannot even practice internal democracy within their own parties. And that is why a simple issue of where the chairmanship will come from has become a matter for the headlines. You know, so this is the problem we're facing in Nigeria. You know, after 25 years, a whole 25 years, a child that was born 25 years ago is already a graduate, probably working, getting married, and all of that. And we are going backwards every day on this democracy. So if Zoni gives Abia PDP any benefit, let it give them benefit. But for me, it's not about zoning. It's about the people who are in that position. Are they working for the office for which? Let me give you an analogy before I stop. For those who follow football, on Saturday, the European Champions League final was played. And one of the most influential players in Real Madrid, the champions, is from Germany. Toni Kroos is a German, but his office is in Spain, playing for Real Madrid. And he went to that game and played for the office. He didn't play for his tribesmen. If he played for his tribesmen, he would have given the game away to the Germans, who are his tribesmen. In Nigeria, you give people office, and they are not playing for the office. They are playing for their ethnic and tribal sentiments. And that's the kind of thing we're talking about here. You have a high office, and instead of you to deliver for the office, you are delivering for your ethnic group. You have one thing in your head, that it must be my people, my people. That is the problem that we're having in Nigeria. That's the problem we're having.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Nick Agule. We will take a short break, and then when we return, we'll move straight into the second topic of discussion. Stay tuned.
From the views on the street,
we go to bed empty hunger,
to the blaring horns of a hustling city, the loudest voices of the common man got a medium to be heard.
This particular administration, they were coming unprepared.
It's not a bad thing to renovate the president's lodge.
Through top-notch programming, unbiased reportage of news, sports, business, entertainment, and cultural documentaries, Voice of the People 90.3 FM became a symbol for 21st century media. And now, a new baby is born. Voice of the People Television, VOP TV, youthful, full of vigor and penchant for excellence in the continent's media space, exposing the wrongs, applauding the rights, dissecting the news without fear or favor, through factual and accurate stories and contents.
Corruption kills three things that makes a society.
Representing the interests of the people and giving them a voice. Voice of the People TV is here to stay towards building a fair society. VOP TV, Voice of the People Television, truly a voice for the people.
Welcome back, and thanks for staying tuned. You're still tuned into VOP TV, and this is Political Voice. Moving forward to the second topic of discussion, the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, says no political party in Nigeria has a complete register of its members. Newsmen gathered that Chairman of the Commission, Professor Mahmood Yakubu, made the remark during a chat with newsmen in Benin City. Yakubu, who challenged political parties that have a complete register to produce it, noted that they are all awaiting for the Commission to do nothing for them. Even those that are within their purview, noting that INEC has the largest database of citizens in Nigeria. Yakubu noted that the Commission has 93 million citizens that have completed their biometrics on its register. Yakubu noted that the ongoing continuous voters registration exercise was to enable eligible voters in the state to register to vote, replace and transfer permanent voters' cards, PVCs, to a place of their choice, while disagreeing with claims that the youths have lost confidence in the Commission as a result of the outcome of the conduct of the 2023 general elections. He posited that the vast majority of those that are currently participating in the ongoing CVR in Edo State and Ondo are between 18 and 34 years. Now we'll take a short break, and of course, when we return, we'll go straight into the talking points. Stay tuned.
When your morning starts, make sure to look around for the right company to serve you everything you need to know about what's happening around you. That's why you need VOP this morning, because we will climb this far to give you a voice in what's going on, from news, reviews, politics and the economy, sports and even entertainment. Join us weekdays 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. right here on VOP TV. VOP TV. Now you have more than a voice.
Welcome back, and thanks for staying tuned. We have still with us virtually, Dr. Hassan Sadiq and also Mr. Nick Agule. I'll start off with Dr. Hassan Sadiq. What are your thoughts on INEC Chairman Mahmoud Yakubu's statement that no political party in Nigeria has a complete register of its members? All right, I think we'll have to stick with Mr. Nick Agule. You heard what the INEC chairman Mahmoud Yakubu said, that no political party in Nigeria has a complete register of its members. What are your thoughts on that?
I always have problems with Nigerian officials when they come out to make this kind of statements. Engineer, is he an engineer? Mahmoud Yakubu, the INEC chairman, is also a regulator of the political parties. And it is his duty as a regulator to ensure that the political parties are in compliance, not only with the electoral law, but with the Constitution of Nigeria. And he fails in his duty to do that, meaning by ensuring that political parties keep a complete electoral register of their members. Then he comes to the national press and begins to make statements that show as if the political parties are at fault. But the INEC chairman seems to be oblivious of the fact that this statement he's making is an indictment upon himself and the commission that he leads, because he's actually just telling us Nigerians that the commission that he leads has relegated its responsibilities and has not supervised the political parties enough to ensure that they keep accurate register of their members. This is what he's saying here. And if we were in Senate crimes, even by this admission of his failures, he would have been forced out of office so that somebody who is more competent than him can actually come and take the job and deliver on its mandate. So this is the situation that we're facing here. It is his own job to have got the parties to have this accurate list of their membership register, and he hasn't done it. And here we are, coming to national television to talk about it.
Do you agree with Yakubu's assertion that political parties rely too heavily on INEC to do everything for them? Do you agree with Yakubu on that?
Well, it is like the federal government saying the states are relying heavily on me to do something and all of that. And I will say, yeah, because you have allowed them to rely on you. If you don't allow them to rely on you, they will not rely on you. It's because they see you there and you have been, accommodating them, and you have been tolerating their deficiencies and inefficiencies. That is why this situation has arisen. If engineer, Mahmoud Yakubu's INEC had put his feet on the ground and enforced the electoral law and the constitution the way it should be operated, the political parties will have no choice than to go and comply. For instance, if the political parties came to INEC and said, come and supervise our primaries, we want to do our primaries, come and supervise our primaries. The electoral law mandates the parties to submit their register of members to INEC before INEC comes to supervise the primaries. And if the INEC as an institution was up to their responsibilities doing their job, they are expected to review the membership register that the political parties deliver to them. And if they find it inadequate or deficient, then they should tell the political parties that we are not coming to supervise your primaries because your membership register is incomplete. It has issues. And once they do that, parties will now know that we cannot go to INEC to ask them to come and supervise our primaries if our registers are not complete. Then the parties will now be pressured into making their registers to be complete. But engineer, why am I always calling him the engineer?
Engineer.
INEC has been sending their officials to go and supervise primaries with membership register that the chairman is now coming forward to say is rubbish. So who is to blame here? Is it the parties or INEC, who is the regulator and has refused to do his work and has allowed the parties? It's like the central bank allowing banks to do anyhow. The same central bank will now go and put a statement to say, oh, banks in Nigeria are doing anyhow. None of them have complete list of their depositors and all that. Is that not an indictment on the central bank whose job it was to ensure that the banks did the right thing? And that is what INEC is putting up here. To me, it's a very shameful outing by the commission, and they should just go back and do their work properly and stop coming to the press to be wailing and complaining and lamenting.
All right, he did mention that how significant is the fact that INEC has a database of about 93 million citizens who have completed their biometrics. But then, of course, we saw a lot of voters' cards that were sent to a lot of people, did not collect their voters' card, and then went to the INEC office. They had to go through a lot of stress, very unnecessary stress, I must say, to get their voters' card. And then even as much as I also went to get my voters' card, as at the time during the last election, and most people even had to give people tip. They had to dash people money. The officials, the staff of INEC, just to be able to get their voters' card. How do you react to this?
It's all the failings of INEC, an institution that will give a lot of money through budgetary allocation. It seems to be delivering very little for Nigerians. I made this point in the run-up to the 2023 elections. And I say that if INEC uses our biometrics to accredit us at the polling unit, because like me, I voted in the 2023 elections. And when I went there, they used my eyes initially, and it didn't work. So they had to use my thumbprint, and then they saw me. It worked, So if our biometrics are already with INEC, what do we need a voter's card for? We don't need a voter's card. Just go press your thumb on the machine, and if you are the registered voter, if you are the human being that registered, your details will come up and you will go and vote. Why is INEC insisting that you must have a permanent voter's card before you go and vote? Not even a temporary voter's card that has been issued by them will they accept? So the money that is used to print all these voters' cards is totally unneeded. It's useless. It's not needed. You know, the technology is there. It is the biometrics that they have captured, and the Beavers machine has a provision for us to put our thumbprint on it. Our thumbprint should be the voter's card. And that is a voter's card that nobody can forge. You are the person, if you are not the person that goes there, even if your brother is totally resemblant like you, resembles you 100%, if he puts his thumbprint is not going to work. So why are we even ever talking about voters card? Everybody should just appear at the voting. In fact, when I was making this statement in the run-up to the last election, I now said even those who register a day before the election should be able to go and vote. You know, if you use this thumbprint method I'm talking about, there's no need of closing voter registration weeks or months ahead. You know, what stops people from voting the day before? You know, like if I want to vote in my village, instead of traveling to my village first to go and register to vote, then go back to where I work. And then when it is time for election, I go back to my village again to go and vote. I can just go to my village on a Friday, register, then on a Saturday, I put my thumbprint, the system recognizes me, and I cast my ballot.
But then, even
so if INEC is listening to us, or they will listen to us, let them take this feedback and stop this whole issue of compounding the process and insisting on a voter's card. Who uses cards these days?
Yeah, coming to that, you know, a lot of persons were disenfranchised during the last election because most of them could not travel back to the cities where they have their voters card registered. Is there no way that the INEC could possibly help Nigerians to be able to vote wherever it is they are, even if it's electronically? Because we have a lot of other countries that are developing and developed who are able to, who are trying to do electronic voting. Is it that we don't want to, go to that level in Nigeria, or is it that we cannot get to that level of, being able to vote? Even people that are abroad, people that are outside Nigeria, that are Nigerians, should be able to at least, vote for their preferred candidate during elections.
If it is something that benefits them, and they want to do it, like they passed the national anthem law in 48 hours, from first reading to second reading to third reading to the passage of the law by both chambers of the National Assembly, then the harmonization of the passage, and then the remission of the bill to Mr. President, and Mr. President signing it into law in all 48 hours. If it is to their benefit and they want to carry on some of their games, that's what they can do. Even the National Assembly itself, within their own chambers, they have electronic voting. When they sit on their decks, they vote on bills and motions there. So it's not as if this is not doable. It doesn't mean it is rocket science. It can be done. If they want to do it, they will do it. But things like electronic voting will stop them from bringing themselves back to power. And that is the reason why they cannot do such a thing for Nigerians, because it will transfer power into the hands of Nigeria, and the voting public will now have power over the politicians, and there will be no way for them to rig themselves back into power. And that is the reason why they can never contemplate such things. There are other things, for instance, diaspora voting. Diaspora voting now, there are millions of Nigerians abroad. They are Nigerians, just that their place of sojourn is outside Nigeria. They want to vote. They want to be part of the governance process at home. The National Assembly has refused to pass a law that will open up our elections to our members in the diaspora. Something that small nations like Republic of Benin, they are doing diaspora voting. Nigeria will not do it. And of course, there are many other problems with the electoral law. Why do we have off-cycle election? Like now, we are preparing for election in Ondo State and Edo State.
Yeah.
The only reason you have that off-cycle election is because INEC decides to conduct elections 2 months to swearing in. So that after they conduct the election and they declare somebody a winner, within 2 months, the person takes office. But the judicial process is going to last for longer. So when the judicial process that lasts for 6 months, 8 months finally ends, and the court say it's a different person that should go in, you now have an off-cycle election.
Yeah.
A simple thing that can be solved is for INEC to now conduct elections 6 months to swearing in, so that within the 6 months, every judicial process is finished. So that the person who is sworn in is the person that both INEC and the court say is a winner of the election. This will solve off-cycle election in Nigeria totally. But as something as simple as that is not happening, National Assembly is not talking about it, and we keep getting INEC to go and conduct election two months to election time. What stops them from conducting election 6 months to election time? All because they want to have this rigging process. Because for me, swearing in somebody whose victory is still in court is election rigging. INEC is rigging election for people because immediately you swear in the man now has access to money and power. You understand? And he start using that to prosecute the case. And INEC is supporting that, is doing that, helping politicians to do the rigging. And the National Assembly is the INEC, everybody is there. So until it concerns them, they will not do it for Nigeria.
Well, we believe that they are listening, and of course, they will possibly start putting their minds to that, so that we will not have off-cycle elections anymore. I believe that should be your concluding thoughts, because we are pressed for time.
Just imagine that we have a risk that Nigeria's presidential election can go off-cycle. Because like in the 2023 election, if the court has said it was Atiku that won or Peter Obi that won, they would have started their tenure, and when we are voting in 2027, we will not be voting for president, because they will say the presidential election is off-cycle, coming up ahead. Have you seen a country that votes a general election without the president? And Nigeria is actually in line to do that, to achieve such an enormous, minions record, if we don't change what INEC is doing.
Well, thank you so much, Mr. Nick Agule, for being on the show with us today, a chartered accountant, an oil and gas expert, and also a political analyst. We thank you for being on the show with us today.
Thank you very much, and have a nice day.
Also, thank you so much, Dr. Hassan Sadiq, a security expert and a political analyst as well. Political Voice will make a return tomorrow, and I'm Masinachi Okafo. Have a good evening.